Yes, Prabhu, you can start. I'll share the screen if needed.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, which verse are we today?
I think day before you did 35, Prabhu, and you wanted to expand on that. Yesterday, Sakyaraya Prabhu did on the soul, and he said that he will be doing on the super soul.
Yes. Well, I thought maybe everybody had moved on to
No, Prabhu, we have been waiting for you only.
You've been waiting for me. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're back to 235 about the Supersoul. Supersoul.
So yesterday, Prabhu expanded more on the purport, and today it's on the super soul.
You gave class yesterday, Prabhu?
It was Sakyaraya Prabhu.
Sorry, Saki Roy. Oh, Saki. Oh, well. Well, then that's the final word, I guess, if Saki Roy was speaking. Well, I think we can talk a bit on the... where did Saki Roy go? I'm sorry, I missed yesterday's class.
Prabhu, I just gave the summary of 2235 as to how rationally also when we think devotional service is the ultimate conclusion. And I basically spoke from Bhurijan Prabhu's Unveiling His Lotus Feet, where he systematically analyzes purport into, I think, 12 or 13 points. And then also during the day, I made a flow chart and I posted the flow chart on the group this morning. So that's what we are there, but it's up to you, Prabhu, if you want to speak more on the verse 35, explaining the concept, importance, and part of the super soul in our lives. So it's up to you, Prabhu, today and tomorrow.
Today and tomorrow. Okay.
Or you can move to 36, up to you. It's totally up to you, Prabhu.
Well, actually, I thought probably yesterday somebody spoke on 36 and I was looking at 37 today. So, all right. Super Soul. This, I was saying before how, excuse me, this second chapter of the second canto is very, very important. Well, of course, in one sense, that's a redundant statement. Every chapter of the Bhagavatam is important. Every verse is important. But in terms of getting a good foundation in Krishna consciousness, it's always good to start with the foundations of the scripture. And the second canto, if we just do a little bit of revision on the structure of the Bhagavatam, we see that this second canto is the beginning of Sukadev's instructions to Maharaj Parikshit, as I said the other day, on the basis of his question of what should one do when he's on the threshold of death. And there's a very nice lecture on that verse where Maharaj Parikshit asks that question. And Prabhupada begins by saying, so Maharaj Parikshit is asking Sukadeva Goswami, what should one do when he is on the threshold of death? And then he pauses for a moment and he says, and who is not on the threshold of death? Very powerful statement. And then he goes on to explain that Maharaj Parikshit has very clear notice that he has 7 days, but actually we don't even have notice that we have 7 seconds to live. So therefore, what Sukadeva Goswami says to Maharaj Parikshit in these foundational chapters of the second canto, if you look at the progression, it goes the first steps in God realization, where he talks about the universal form of the Lord. Then he shifts the discussion to the omnipresence of the Lord as the Supersoul. And then he talks about pure devotional service, the change in the heart. These 3 chapters are very important foundational chapters for our understanding of the whole Bhagavatam, as it is now going to be expanded by Sukadeva Goswami. So this chapter, this second part of the second chapter, which deals with understanding the presence of the Supersoul within one's own heart, is very, very important, because there is ultimately only one authority. There is one authority, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And all other authorities are meant to be representatives of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have this concept that Krishna explains in the Bhagavad-gītā, that we must approach a bona fide spiritual master if we want to learn the truth. And it is explained that the spiritual master is the external manifestation or the external representative of the Supersoul. We have lost contact with Supersoul due to forgetfulness and due to attachment to material things. Our consciousness has become external. We don't have any awareness anymore of what is actually the internal realm of consciousness. But we understand that that's just our position. We can't project that onto the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord has never forgotten any of us. He's aware of every single living entity. Every single living entity. Each and every one of us. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani chabhutani mamtu veda nakaschana. I know everything, Krishna says. I know everything that's happened in the past, everything that's happening at the present, and everything that is yet to come. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know every living entity. But in this world, me, no one knows. So this is actually a very sobering consideration, that we are actually in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead at every moment through his expansion as the Paramatma within the heart of every living entity. And in the 18th chapter, Krishna makes it very explicit in that regard of what one should be doing in relationship to Supersoul. In verse number 61, if you have your Bhagavad-gītā with you, it's always good to have Bhagavad-gītā with you, wherever you go. I have a little bag that I carry Bhagavad-gītā with me, and wherever I go, I don't necessarily look at it all the time, but it's always there with me. But in verse number 61, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hriddesha Junatishtati Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantra Rudrani Mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. And then the next verse. Tam eva sharanam gatscha savabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim stanam prapyasi shashvatam. O Scion of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. His grace, by his grace, you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme eternal abode. Very powerful statement. Surrender to him utterly. Utterly means completely, without reservation, without condition. Of course, that may be a very difficult thing for us to achieve because we're very attached to the material world. Attachment, fear, and anger are the things that bind us to this material world. But the practice has to begin. It is a practice that we have to take up. A very nice statement at the end of the 5th chapter. If you have your Gita, you can look at that. In the purport to the 29th verse. Srila Prabhupada says this: direct Krishna consciousness is bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga is a path leading to bhakti yoga. Krishna consciousness means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Absolute, and the perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure soul is the eternal servant of God as his fragmental part and parcel. He comes into contact with Maya, illusion, due to the desire to lord it over Maya, and that is the cause of his many sufferings. As long as he is in contact with matter, he has to execute work in terms of material necessities. Krishna consciousness, however, brings one into spiritual life, even while one is within the jurisdiction of matter, for it is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in the material world. That last phrase is very, very important. Krishna consciousness is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in the material world. So becoming aware of Supersoul is a central point in this practice, this awakening, spiritual awakening. So then we can have a look at the last part of the purport of this verse. So far as common sense is concerned, we come to the conclusion that there are 3 identities, namely matter, spirit, and superspirit. Now, if we go to the Bhagavad-gītā, or the Vedic intelligence, we can further understand that all 3 entities, namely matter, individual spirit, and superspirit, are all dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Superself is a partial representation or plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhagavatam affirms that the Supreme Personality of Godhead dominates all over the material world by his partial representation only. This is Supersoul. God is great, and he cannot be simply an order supplier of the individual souls. Therefore, the Superself is not a full representation of the Supreme Self, Purushottam, the Absolute Personality of Godhead. Realization of the Superself by the individual self is the beginning of self-realization. And by the progress of such self-realization, one is able to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead by intelligence, by the help of authorized scriptures, and principally by the grace of the Lord. The Bhagavad-gītā is the preliminary conception of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and Srimad-Bhagavatam is the further explanation of the science of God. So if we stick to our determination and pray for the mercy of the director of intelligence sitting within the same bodily tree, like a bird sitting with another bird, as explained in the Upanishads, certainly the purport of the revealed information in the Vedas becomes clear to our vision, and there is no difficulty in realizing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. The intelligent man, therefore, after many births of such use of intelligence, surrenders himself to the lotus feet of Vasudeva, as confirmed in Bhagavad-gītā 7:19. And Prabhupada quoted or referred to that verse also in a few verses before verse number 33, where he talks about how after many, many births, the jnani comes to the understanding that Vasudeva is everything. So this is all coming about for us by the guidance of Supersoul, even though we've been blind for so many lifetimes in the material world. The Supersoul has brought us to this situation where we are hearing this knowledge. I'm directing the wanderings of every living entity. So somehow or another, we have had some desire to know the absolute truth. What is the truth? What is the truth of my existence? Why does anything exist? All these questions. Krishna's taken note in our hearts that these questions are there, and he's chosen us to have this opportunity. This is a very important point to understand. From the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad-gītā, we see that Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that he's revealing this knowledge of the ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme because Arjuna is his friend and his devotee. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna has selected Arjuna. So if we work with the understanding that Arjuna is every man, Krishna is putting Arjuna in the position of every man. Every person in the material world is perplexed by his circumstances. The nature of the material world is such that it leads to perplexity for everyone. So Krishna has chosen Arjuna because he is not envious of Krishna. He's a friend to Krishna, and he is a devotee to Krishna. Now, in our situation, we need to understand that we have been selected by Supersoul. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and out of many thousands, hundreds of thousands of living entities, men, human beings, who have attained some kind of perfection, hardly one knows Krishna in truth. And that ability to know Krishna in truth can only be bestowed by the Lord himself. So we have to understand the good fortune of our position, and that good fortune has been brought about by the agency of the Supersoul. By the agency of the Supersoul, we've come in contact with a pure devotee of the Lord, and through that contact, we are now hearing the absolute truth. And if we take a thoroughgoing approach to that in regard to what unfolds in Bhagavad-gītā, then we see after Krishna says that to Arjuna about surrendering to Supersoul, utterly surrendering to Supersoul, in verse number 62 of the 18th chapter. In verse 63, he says, "Thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully, and then do what you wish to do." Krishna never interferes with our independence, but we need to understand the auspiciousness of our situation. We have been given an opportunity here to choose Krishna, to choose the path of devotional service as the summum bonum of our life, the sole purpose of our lives. So in this regard, we can follow Arjuna's example, and then we can shift a little bit further to where Krishna asks Arjuna in the final section of this 18th chapter, in the 72nd verse. Krishna says, "O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusion now dispelled?" And then we see Arjuna has made a very clear statement. "My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and am prepared to act according to your instructions." This is the choice we have to make. And that comes through the attainment of complete knowledge. And complete knowledge is manifested before us in the scripture, primarily in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-gītā, Srimad-Bhagavatam. And this has all come about for us by virtue of the Supersoul's action in our lives. There's this thing I see sometimes outside a church where they'll say, "My friend told me he'd found God." And then I said to my friend, "God's not lost. You are. We're lost in this material world. We don't know. We don't know what is to be done and what is not to be done. We're in complete forgetfulness of our constitutional position as eternal servants of Krishna. We're completely in forgetfulness of Krishna and our relationship with Krishna and the means by which that relationship is transacted. That is bhakti yoga, devotional service, the supreme occupation of the jiva. All of this is revealed to us now by the mercy of the Supersoul. And by the mercy of the Supersoul, we acquire the shelter of the lotus feet of a pure devotee of the Lord, and then we hear from him. And that brings us back again to Bhagavad-gītā in verse number 34 and 35 of the 4th chapter. Everybody knows 34. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadashana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Then, what is the next verse? It's a couplet. These verses 34 and 35 are a couplet. Having read 34, it's very important then to understand what Krishna is saying in 35. Yajgyadva na punamoham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutyan yasheshani rakshasyatman yatomai. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, external manifestation of Supersoul, you will never again fall into such illusion. What is this illusion? We're referring right back to the beginning of Bhagavad-gītā here. The illusion that I am this body, that I am somehow separate from Krishna. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. Now, I don't want to go over time today, so I'll stop there and see if anyone has any questions. We can elaborate on this even further tomorrow. But does anyone have any questions today? No questions? Is it all clear to everyone?
Yes, Prabhu, it was a great class. Thank you so much. Beautiful class.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Who was that? Sneha?
Sneha Bhakti. Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you for that. Well, if there's no questions, I'll just give one final.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, it is said that an expert is the one who teaches a subject of which the students are aware of and they are ready to take the lessons. But a master is one who teaches someone who's absolutely new and novice. And your explanation today was just like a master giving the explanation to the newcomers like us, Prabhu. So thank you very much. Very, very clear understanding of the principle of Super Soul and the role of not only Super Soul, but in our lives also, as you mentioned, that we have to become like Arjuna because we have been made the instruments by the agency of Super Soul. Thank you, Prabhu.
This is very, very good realization, Sakira. It's a very important realization that, again, if we elaborating on that, if we look at the 11th chapter, if we take the position of Arjuna, of course, his position is in the battle of Kurukshetra as a warrior. But our position is in the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya. So Krishna says to Arjuna, you could be but an instrument in this fight. So the same principle applies to us, that we can all become instruments in the hands of Lord Chaitanya in this great Sankirtan Yajna, this great mission of spreading Krishna consciousness to every town and village on the planet. Hare Krishna. So, well, 1 minute to go. I'll refer you at the end here to two other verses, which are a very important couplet, also in the 4th chapter. Everybody knows 4:9. Janmakama chame divyam evam yo viti tatvataha chaktva deham puna janma na iti mam iti sorjuna. Then Vitaraga Bayakroda Manmaya Mamupashita Bahavogyana Tapasa Bhutamadbhavam Agataha. I'll leave you with those two verses. And I'll also refer you to 10 and 11 for more information about the acquisition of knowledge and the purpose of complete knowledge, and how it ultimately comes from Supersoul. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare-
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubheva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare
I'll end the meeting here, Prabhu. Thank you so much.